Understanding the nature of judgment. It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Epictetus. Anger is rarely the child of raw events. It is the child of meaning, the meaning you assign to the event. Someone cuts in line. A coworker speaks with a sharp tone. A driver honks at you, curses you, as if you've stolen something sacred. These things happen. But do they deserve your anger? Or is it your judgment, your invisible internal verdict? This is disrespect. This is unfair. They shouldn't treat me like this. That fuels the fire. Epictetus insisted that what offends us is not the act itself, but the label we slap on it. The event is neutral. The judgment is not. In today's world, this idea is revolutionary. Social media teaches us to react instantly. Algorithms reward outrage. Every slight is magnified. Every offense is a declaration of war. But Stoicism calls for restraint, not passivity, clarity. Let's bring this to life. Imagine you're at work. Your manager publicly criticizes your performance. You feel the flush rise in your neck. Your jaw tightens. But pause. What happened? A voice, words, a tone. Then, your judgment. They're humiliating me. They have no right. Everyone's watching. I must defend myself. None of these thoughts are facts. They are interpretations, and interpretations can be changed. In this light, anger begins to look foolish. Why give your serenity away for free to someone who might not even know they've taken it? Judgment is a choice, and like all choices, it can be practiced. Tomorrow someone will test your patience. Perhaps even before the sun sets, they will say something or fail to say something, and the old script will begin to run. This is disrespectful. I must respond. I must defend. But now you know. You can pause. This is not about pretending to be okay with mistreatment. Stoicism is not submission. It is sovereignty over the only realm you truly own, your inner world. You don't control the manager. You don't control the crowd. You don't even control the criticism. But you do control what you tell yourself about what just happened. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You can ask, is this a fact or just my judgment? And in that pause, the fire dies, the discipline of assent. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Epictetus. The world presses in. A message arrives cold and abrupt. A stranger rolls their eyes at you in line. A friend cancels plans last minute. The first reaction rises, warm, fast, automatic. You feel the spark, but in that moment before the emotion seizes your reins, Stoicism offers you a hidden power, the discipline of assent. To assent is to agree, not just in word, but in mind. The Stoics taught that our initial impressions are not under our control, but what happens next is the insult appears, the disappointment arrives. But do you assent to the idea that it is worth your disturbance, that it is personal, that it is unjust? There is a narrow window, brief, fragile, but real, in which you can decide whether to allow that impression to settle in as truth. This is the battlefield of Stoicism, not in the noise outside, but in the silent judgment inside. We live in a world engineered for reaction. Notifications, breaking news, viral posts, all built to bypass your reason and press your emotional buttons. Outrage sells, controversy spreads. A moment of pause, that's rare. But precisely in that rarity lies your advantage. Imagine you're driving, someone swerves into your lane without signaling. Your first thought might be, what an idiot. You feel the adrenaline. You want to respond, tail them, flash your lights, honk. But pause. Did you assent to that thought, or did you just let the first impression run wild? What if the driver is rushing to the hospital? What if they simply made a mistake, the kind you've made too, unnoticed? The point is not to invent excuses for others. The point is, you don't know. And until you know, why grant your peace to an unknown? Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Not inaction, but reflection. The delay between impression and assent is where your freedom lives. Even in heated moments, an argument with your partner, a betrayal by someone close, you can hold the line. The discipline is this: before you believe your own emotion, examine it. You are not your first thought. You are what you do with it. It's easy to feel powerful when yelling back, posting a harsh reply, cutting someone off with icy silence. But power without control is weakness in disguise. A storm impresses for a moment, but a calm sea endures. In training this discipline, you are not denying your emotions. You are guiding them. The way a master archer doesn't fear the bowstring's tension, but directs it with purpose. This is a practice. No one perfects it overnight. But with each pause, each moment of conscious assent, you strengthen the mind's muscle. You build the space in which wisdom can live. Next time someone says something sharp, something tempting to react to, let the impression rise and do nothing. Observe it like a passing cloud. Do not assent, just wait. What happens in that stillness will change you. The role of expectation. When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. Marcus Aurelius. Anger rarely begins with the present. It begins earlier, in the shadows of expectation. We expected kindness and received indifference. We expected competence and got carelessness. We expected someone to understand us, support us, remember us, and they didn't. But Stoicism teaches this: the world is not here to fulfill your expectations. Other people are not drafted into your script. Their role is not to make you feel validated, respected, or seen. They will act according to their nature, not yours. Epictetus said, "When you kiss your child, say to yourself, 'Tomorrow they may die.'" Harsh, some would say. But this is not morbidity. It is clarity. The Stoic trains the mind to accept what is, not what they wish would be. Let's bring this to a modern context. You're part of a group project. One member is clearly not contributing. You feel the tension build. Why am I always the one who takes responsibility? You send a message. No reply. The deadline looms. Anger brews. Now step back. What's at the root? Expectation. You expected commitment. You expected basic decency. You expected them to care as much as you do. And they didn't. Are you wrong to desire these things? Not necessarily. But Stoicism asks, did you confuse your preference for a guarantee? The Stoic does not abandon standards, but they do abandon the fantasy that others will naturally meet them. Instead, they prepare the mind. They go into each interaction saying, some people will be selfish, some will be slow, some will fail me. Not in bitterness, but in wisdom. So when it happens, it's not a betrayal. It's confirmation of a simple truth. Humans are fallible. Now think of relationships. How much anger comes not from what someone did, but from what we thought they should have done. They should have called. They should have known. They should have said sorry. They should have read your tone, understood your silence, anticipated your needs. But as Marcus Aurelius wrote, you always own the option of having no opinion. There is never a need to get worked up. What if, instead of scripting how others should behave, you watched them? Really watched, with the calm of a naturalist studying an animal, not expecting a cat to bark or a bird to dig? What if you replaced "they should" with "they are"? That shift alone kills much of your anger. A Stoic is not numb. A Stoic simply trains their emotions to align with reality. And the reality is, people will disappoint you. Not always, not intentionally, but they will. So expect it, not with cynicism, but with strength. If you free others from the prison of your expectations, you free yourself from the chains of constant irritation. And in that space, something rare grows, peace without illusion. Distinguishing between what depends on you and what doesn't. Some things are up to us and some are not. Epictetus. This is the line, the border, the bedrock of all Stoic discipline. What depends on you, what doesn't. If you do not draw this line clearly and defend it relentlessly, you will live at the mercy of everything and everyone. Your peace will be tied to things you cannot command. Your anger will flare at ghosts. Your mood will belong to strangers. Your day will swing on the hinge of someone else's approval, timing, or behavior. And so Stoicism demands you begin here. What depends on you? Your actions, your thoughts, your words, your responses, your values, your judgments. What doesn't? The opinions of others, their choices, their gratitude or lack of it, outcomes, fate, reputation. Even your own body, to a degree, doesn't fully depend on you. You can try to stay healthy and still fall sick. You can speak with kindness and still be misunderstood. You can love someone deeply and still lose them. If you pretend these things are under your control, you will suffer. And worse, you will rage. A modern example, you send a message, honest, vulnerable. You wait, no reply. Hours pass, days. You begin the descent. Why haven't they answered? Did I say too much? Do they not care? Are they ignoring me? And with every thought, your peace bleeds out. But look closer. What part of this situation is in your hands? Only the message, only the intention behind it, not the reception, not the reply, not their inner world. So why suffer for what lies outside your reach? A Stoic isn't indifferent. A Stoic is precise. They invest themselves fully in what they can do and surrender the rest with dignity. You study for the exam, but not for the grade. You train hard, but not for the medal. You speak your truth, but not to win everyone. You give your best, but not to control the result. This mindset is not detachment. It is clarity. It is the courage to live by effort, not outcome. It is the wisdom to love people, but not be owned by their moods. Anger thrives in the confusion between what's yours and what isn't. A co-worker takes credit for your idea. Rage rises, but what's yours? The idea, the work, the integrity with which you acted, their recognition, their ethics, their praise, not yours. When you learn to hold the line, anger fades. Disappointment softens. The world becomes something you can face, not something you need to bend. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome with armies at his command, wrote, "You have power over your mind and not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. You can live this, not once, but daily. Ask yourself in any conflict, in any irritation, is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, release. And then walk on. Not cold, not bitter, just free." The practice of perspective. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Marcus Aurelius. Perspective is not a decoration. It is armor. To the Stoics, perspective is a weapon against offense, against arrogance, against pettiness. The question is not, is this annoying? But what is this really in the context of life, time, and death? Modern life trains us to zoom in. Your feed scrolls fast, opinions hit harder, everything feels urgent, but the Stoic steps back, always back. To see clearly, you must shrink your problems until they can breathe inside a larger truth. Someone cuts in front of you in traffic. You feel disrespected, you want justice. But if this is your last week alive, is this worth the bile? You get ghosted by someone you trusted. Painful, yes, but step outside yourself. Have you never failed someone, forgotten a message, vanished in your own silence? You are not being asked to minimize things. You are being asked to contextualize them. Seneca wrote, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about things." But those judgments are born from narrow framing, the illusion that this moment is everything, that this insult defines your worth, that this failure will echo forever. Now imagine a planet suspended in space, a tiny dot. That's Earth. Now zoom further. Solar systems, galaxies, the slow pulse of stars being born and dying. And now return to the notification that ruined your morning. See how small it is? That's perspective. But Stoicism isn't about cosmic abstraction. It's about useful perspective, the kind you can carry into Monday morning, into traffic, into heartbreak. Let's take a different lens: time. Marcus Aurelius reflected often on death, not to invite despair, but to clean the lens. He would say, in essence, you will die. So will they. So will everything. Does this moment deserve to own you? Try it. Next time someone disrespects you, pause and ask, will this matter in 5 days, 5 years, when I'm on my deathbed? If not, drop it. Not because it didn't hurt, but because you've remembered something larger. Perspective humbles you. The boss who yells, perhaps they are drowning in their own pressure. The rude stranger, perhaps they are in pain. You don't know. So why assume malice? Why choose the most self-centered interpretation? When you zoom out, people become less offensive. Problems become less permanent. And your reactions, once automatic, become choices. You can say, this too shall pass, and mean it. Because you see beyond the moment. The Stoic trains for this. It doesn't come naturally. You must practice. Remind yourself each day. Life is short. People are flawed. I am not the center of the universe. From that place, who can truly offend you? Only someone you allow to. The strength of inner citadel. A man should stand erect, not be kept erect by others. Marcus Aurelius. The final defense, the deepest stronghold, is the inner citadel. The Stoics believed that within each of us is a place untouched by insult, untouched by chaos, untouched even by death, a fortress that cannot be stormed unless you open the gates. This is not metaphor, this is practice. It is your character, your reason, your capacity to govern yourself no matter the storm outside. You will be criticized, you will be mocked, you will be misjudged, that much is certain. But the question is not what others do, it is whether you allow their words to enter and define you. Ask yourself, who has the right to determine my worth? Who gets to control my peace? If your answer is they do, the boss, the parent, the partner, the stranger online, then you have no fortress. You are a ruin waiting for the next attack. But if your answer is I do, not with pride but with clarity, then you are beginning to live the Stoic ideal. Seneca said, "No man is free who is a slave to his emotions." The inner citadel is not coldness. It is command. It is not the absence of feeling. It is the refusal to be ruled by every tremor, every slight. Let's ground this. You're in a meeting. You present an idea. Someone laughs, dismisses it with a smirk. Your chest tightens, your ego stirs. But deep within, the trained Stoic asks, is this laughter stronger than my clarity? Is their mockery stronger than my principles? Do I need their approval to remain who I am? If the answer is no, you remain still, not passive, not withdrawn, still, anchored. You reply or don't. You adjust your words or don't, but none of it is panic. None of it is need. The citadel cannot be shaken because it was not built by others. You built it through effort, through discipline, through saying no, not to people, but to the temptation of handing your mind over to them. People will insult. The world will provoke. But there's a voice inside that can say, that's outside the walls. Even physical pain can't breach it. Epictetus, A slave, lame from beatings, spoke of this truth with serenity. They broke his body, but they never touched his reason. Never made him bitter. Never made him less than himself. That is strength. That is the final aim of Stoicism, not to make life easy, but to make the self unbreakable. You cannot control others. You cannot control fate, but you can control what kind of person you are in every moment, what kind of mind you bring to each test. So you build your citadel, brick by brick, with reflection, with restraint, with radical honesty, with choosing what is right over what is easy, with living for values, not validation. And when the world comes knocking, angry and loud, you will not be shaken, because peace is not found in others. It is forged within.